afternoon, everyone. Now that you can see my screen, all the things, we will get this training started. Like Lexi said, I am Marlia Finch. I am the Assistant Director here at the Department of Education, and we are here today to talk about the Fresh Fruit and Vegetable Program. Many of you have already been operating the Fresh Fruit and Vegetable Program for a couple of years now, so a lot of this may be a refresher. So I just want to let you be well aware that a lot of you may already know a lot of the information that will be presented today. Again, this is for the Fresh Fruit and Vegetable Program, a general overview and how it may look in your district, and also how to apply for next school year's Fresh Fruit and Vegetable Program. So without further ado, we will continue this presentation. And our mission statement here at the department is to develop extraordinary school nutrition professionals and provide strategies to increase consumption of healthy school meals, which is all of you on today's call. You are our extraordinary school nutrition professionals. And I've already mentioned a little bit what our agenda looks like for today. So it will be a general overview of the Fresh Fruit and Vegetable Program. So if you are new and you haven't really dived into the world of fresh fruit and vegetables, welcome. And I hope you learn a little bit today. And I'm happy to answer any questions throughout the presentation. So if you have any questions, please drop them in the chat or just use that raise hand icon up at the top and I will answer them as we go along. And we'll look at what program implementation may look like to you. It looks different in every district, but we'll provide some examples as to what it will look like, and we'll hit on what is required when you are implementing the program. And everyone's biggest question this time of year, when are FFVP applications opening and how do I apply? Well, we are going to answer that today. And as Lexi mentioned, we will leave time for questions at the end as well if anything pops up between now and then. All right. And so for those that may not know, what is Fresh Fruit and Vegetable? Well, what's the Fresh Fruit and Vegetable Program? Sorry, we have a lot of acronyms around here, so FFVP is what we will be talking about today. So the Fresh Fruit and Vegetable Program is a supplemental program under the National School Lunch Program umbrella. So it falls under the big National School Lunch umbrella, and it provides all children in participating schools a variety of fresh fruits and vegetables throughout the school day. It's also intended to be an effective and creative way to introduce fresh produce items and healthy snack options to children across the nation. And program basics. So there is a fresh fruit and vegetable handbook that you can find on the USDA website. Yes, it may say December 2010 on the handbook. However, that is the only handbook available currently from USDA. We've been told there may be an updated handbook and guidance coming out next year. Of course, we will send out that information as soon as we get it. So I'm excited to see what kind of refresh that they put on the Fresh Fruit and Vegetable Program. And thank you, Lexi. Lexi has dropped the link to the handbook in the chat. So if you're interested as to seeing what is all involved in the handbook, please feel free to check out that link. And of course, as always, you will be getting this presentation after the call today, and they are linked in the PowerPoint presentation you'll get. So you'll have access to the links after the call as well. So the overall program goals for the Fresh Fruit and Vegetable Program include expanding the variety of produce items that students have access to, and increasing the consumption of fresh fruit and vegetables, and then ultimately developing long-term healthy habits for students that participate in fresh fruits and vegetables. All right, so now we got the highlights, the intended program goals. Now, what does program implementation look like? Well, program implementation, so these are the required implementation pieces. So you serve fresh fruit and vegetable items outside of a mealtime for an additional snack option during the school day. For example, many programs utilize FFEP as a standalone afternoon snack in the classroom or out at recess. I was just in a district today and they serve it at 2 p.m., which is a great time because school lets out at 3. So it's a good afternoon snack after that lunchtime period is over. And then ultimately, what true implementation, not only the required pieces of implementation, but what implementation looks like in your district, it is a site level discretion. What works for one site may not work for all. So really, you can curate this program to best fit your needs. And so how will it operate? Again, it's going to be different across the state. And you get to paint your own picture on how you would like fresh fruit and vegetables to operate. So when you fill out your FFVP application and you are answering the application questions, you're painting the picture as to tell us how you plan to operate your program. So we ask, how many operating days are you going to operate the program? Where are you intending to serve the FFVP items? And when will you serve them? Again, just following the steps in your application will really showcase how you are operating your FFVP, your fresh fruit and vegetable program. You ask, Marlia, so I wanted to start small and do 2 days a week, but now we're halfway through the school year and we're really loving fresh fruit and vegetable program. How can I increase to 4 days a week? That is super simple. Just because your application says you want to operate 2 days a week, if you decide to change your mind or your capacity changes, please just send me an email and say, hey, we are going to bump our 2-day operations up to 4-day operations. And that email will serve as the documentation on our end. We'll file it away. That way we have supporting documentation for any reason that you may need. If you have an AR this year and they go in to check your FFEP application, it says you're only operating 2 days, but really you're operating 4 days, we'll have that supplemental documentation to showcase to support your current operating procedures for FFEP. So again, super easy to change your application throughout the school year. All you need to do is send me an email. All right, so we kind of have an idea as to what FFVP operates like within a district. So now what can be served? Well, the name is fresh fruit and vegetable. So you want those fresh produce items. Those cannot be canned, frozen, or dried. Also, we do allow low fat or fat-free dips with vegetables only. So again, you cannot serve the dips with the fruits. It's just for vegetables. And you do need to be mindful of that low fat dip. And this is a reminder that the low fat is considered 3 grams of fat or less per 1 ounce serving. So be very careful when you are ordering your low fat dips to check the 3 grams of fat or less per 1 ounce serving. And then no smoothies or other combination items are really allowed in the fresh fruit and vegetable program because that kind of goes against the intent of the program. Again, we want to offer the natural state of these produce items for students to see. We can allow cooked vegetables once a week in the fresh fruit and vegetable program. However, there is a caveat with providing cooked vegetables. You must provide a nutrition education piece while serving cooked vegetables. So that may look like a handout that a teacher is going over as the kiddos are trying their cooked vegetable in the classroom or out at recess, but you must have a nutrition education component if you are offering cooked vegetables at any point. And we can only allow up to once a week for cooked vegetables. There are only a handful of districts I know that actually offer cooked vegetables, so that's okay if you don't offer cooked vegetables. That is an option, but if you do opt in for that option, make sure you do have that nutrition education piece. All right, more fun requirements just to really drive this home. FFEP is only during the school day, and you cannot serve FFEP before or after school, and it cannot be served during lunch or breakfast, so you are not serving FFEP during meal times, and then you cannot serve FFEP during summer school. The intent of the program is to offer it during the traditional school year and during the school day. All right, so we got the requirements of how it's going to operate and when, what your application should look like. So, who can receive fresh fruit and vegetables? Well, all children who are considered enrolled in that FFVP school. So, when you fill out your FFVP site application, all the children that are enrolled in that site are eligible to receive the fresh fruit and vegetables through this program. Also, teachers who are in the classroom can participate as a role model. So if you have teachers encouraging the students to try that fresh star fruit or jackfruit or anything, they can also partake in the fresh fruit and vegetable program. So that's always encouraging to see a bunch of teachers showcasing the fresh fruit or vegetable of the day with their students. Again, the district I was in this week doing an AR, all the kiddos were jumping for joy when they saw the FFVP cart rolling down the hallway. It was super cute, and they were excited about their grape tomatoes that they got to try. And FFVP is not intended for parents, community, or other school personnel. So just those teachers or role models that are in the classroom with the students trying new things. All right. So with all school nutrition program, record keeping requirements. Yay. And we're going to talk about some fund allocation and how to claim your FFVP dollars. All right. So what are the record keeping requirements? Well, invoices for operating expenses such as your produce items, your supplies, any direct labor that you have, the invoices and records for the administrative expenses, such as indirect labor and equipment purchases, need to be maintained. With the equipment purchases, you must have a written justification, and any equipment purchases or any administrative costs cannot exceed your 10% threshold of your allocation. So those administrative funds must be 10% or less of your total allocation. Again, a reminder, equipment purchases with FFVP dollars, admin dollars, you must get written justification from me prior to purchasing your item. And that looks like a simple email to me with what the piece of equipment is, how much it is, and why you need it. I usually get those emails replied to within 24 hours. Sometimes, if you're lucky, it's within 24 minutes. So we have a very quick turnaround for those FFVP equipment purchases approvals. Other things you need to maintain record-wise is information on publicity. So how are you advertising the program within your school? You can save pictures of your advertisement or save a copy of whatever you may be sending out to teachers or parents. If you have morning announcements and the fresh fruit or vegetable item of the day is announced on those announcements as a way to really promote the program, keep a copy of that transcript and the date that that blurb was ran. It's a really good practice to keep all your records for FFVP because you never know what we may ask for or what others may ask for to look at with this program. And really any documents that showcase how your plan was being followed. So if you have FFEP production records or a menu of your FFEP items, keep that on hand. That's great to have. And any nutrition education materials that you provide. And I'll put a plug in here. If you have great nutrition education materials that you provide through FFVP, share that with us. We're happy to kind of start making a FFVP library with nutrition education materials so we can share that across the state. We're always looking for fun new ways to share out resources that are already out there. So if you have great materials and you feel like sharing with us, we're happy to collect those from you, and then that way we can redistribute across the state for those that when they ask. Okay, now how is FFVP funded? Well, you get 2 allocations for the year. Your first allocation runs from July 1 through the end of September, and your second allocation runs from October 1 to June 30. However, when you get your award letter, you will see one award amount. That total allocation is divided in between the 2 allocation periods. So that first allocation is about 18% of your total award amount. And then your second allocation is the remainder of that award amount. And then all funds that you are awarded must be used or obligated by the close date of the period when allotted. So that just means you cannot spend any of the July through September money in October through June. So we have to keep those allocations separate. It's just how we're working on our side. We're working out of 2 pots of federal dollars. Even though you see one award amount, it's really 2 pots of money on our side. So that is why you have 2 allocations. And then this is a federal reimbursement program. So just a reminder that you are not getting your full award amount up front. You will be submitting claims to get reimbursed. So please be mindful of that as you plan to operate FFVP. Which perfectly aligns with budgeting for FFVP. You get your award letter in July and you start budgeting for FFVP. Well, we have a budgeting toolkit that you can use. It is on our website, and Lexi has dropped the link into the chat if you are interested to see what that looks like. It's very simple to use. You just plug in your expenses for the month, and it should help you with your budgeting and financial endeavors with FFVP. If you need any assistance using that toolkit, please reach out. We are happy to help. And more to consider with budgeting, please plan to spend plan to spend all of your awarded funds. However, we highly encourage that you use at least 90% of your funds to the maximum extent possible in order to be considered for the program the following school year. We say this because we want to be good stewards of federal funds. So the more you spend that you are allocated, the less money that the state of Tennessee reverts back at the end of the school year. And USDA does look at how much money we are spending for FFVP to be considered for our next year's allocation. So the more money we spend, the better chance it is that we have about the same amount, if not more, money allocated to the state of Tennessee the next year. So please spend your FFVP dollars if awarded. With that being said, if you are awarded and you have a site that overspends their allocation amount, you are only going to get reimbursed for that allocation amount. So please be mindful when you are submitting claims and you are spending what you are actually allocated. Sometimes we do have additional funds to redistribute. However, do not make that assumption. Please be mindful of what you are awarded. If we have additional funds, I usually will reach out to those that I know that typically can spend additional funds, but please do not assume we have extra money. All right. And then speaking of needing additional dollars or moving around dollars, I can move FFEP dollars in between sites. So say you have 10 schools operating FFEP and we know one site has overspent for a month and you need to move some money around between sites. I can do that. All you need to do is shoot me a quick email saying site A is overspending by $500, so will you please take it from site B? Um, you do not have to wait to submit your claim for me to adjust the allocations on the backside. So all you need to do is send me an email. I'll typically respond back, hey, I've already moved it around, or hey, I'll move it before I approve your claim. Either way, you will get a response from me and you can go ahead and submit your claim before I move money around between sites. I can do that on the backside before I go in and approve your claim. So there's no hold up there. So again, please be mindful of the award dollars that you are provided. All right. So now we kind of understand what the budget looks like and the two allocations. Now, how are you going to spend your dollars that you're awarded? Well, you have operating costs and administrative costs. The operating costs cover your food items, your non-food items such as napkins, serving bowls, trash bags, little lunch bags to serve things in, any delivery charges associated with your food items or other items for FFVP, and then your direct labor costs. So if you have staff preparing, serving, and cleaning up after FFVP, that is all included under operating costs. Your administrative costs, again, you're not to go over that 10% threshold of the total allocation for your admin cost. And your admin costs include your indirect labor. So if someone's menuing stuff for the FFVP program, if they're submitting claims, maintaining records, that sort of thing. And then again, those durable equipment pieces that you've requested and got approval for FFVP. So those things are like like the smaller coolers, refrigerators, the larger produce slicers, carts, coolers, that sort of thing would be considered durable equipment for FFVP that you need approval for prior to purchase. All right. So we know about budgeting, where the money comes from. Well, how are we going to buy it? Well, just like any other school nutrition program, it needs to be competitively procured. So just like any other school nutrition program, competitive purchasing is required. Micro purchases can be used to obtain local produce, especially we see this for really seasonal items, as long as the appropriate procurement procedures are followed. So make sure you are following appropriate procurement procedures if you're choosing to go with the micro purchase route. And then just a friendly reminder, it is the fresh fruit and vegetable program. So plan to serve both fruits and vegetables. A lot of the time we see a whole lot of fruit and people forget about vegetables, but it is the fresh fruit and vegetable program. Okay, well, Marlia, I've spent all my money. How do I submit my claim? Well, you will submit your claims on a monthly basis, just like any other program in TMAC. It is highly encouraged to submit your monthly claim within 30 days of that claim month. So your October claim, get it in by the end of November as a best practice. Just a reminder, beyond 60 days, so that October claim, you have until October, end of December to get it in within that 60-day mark. Anything after the 60-day mark, that claim is considered late. So be extremely careful and mindful of FFEP claims because I know they can go on the back burner sometimes. And you only have one allotted late claim per 36 months across all programs. So all programs. So you got breakfast, lunch, after school snacks, summer feeding, and FFVP. You only get one late claim for all of those programs. So let's save your potential need for your one late claim get out of jail free card for a larger claim, since your FFVP claims typically aren't as big as other program claims. So just keep it within that 60-day mark. Best practice is to get that claim in within 30 days of your claim month. Okay, so now we kind of understand how the program is working, how to budget for it. Well, how do we even apply for this program? Well, let me tell you. First, let's see if you're eligible to apply. So, in order to be eligible to apply for the Fresh Fruit and Vegetable program, you must be in elementary school. So, that's considered pre-K through sixth grade, are considered elementary schools. And that's automatically considered in TMAC as well. If you are a pre-K through 12 school, or like a weird grade level combination with elementary and older groups, and you are interested in applying for the program for those elementary students, please send me an email and we'll work together to make sure that you can separate out the elementary school kids from the older kids in order to operate the program correctly. So we'll have to do a little bit of manual adjustment on the back end in order to open up an application for you. However, if you would like to be considered, please reach out to me and I will let you know what that looks like for you with that pre-K 12 grouping. But you have to reach out to us before you can even try to apply for the program, because you won't have an application for that site. We have to manually create an application for you. So please, please, please reach out prior to trying to apply for the program. And please reach out prior to the last day that the applications are due, because it will take a little bit of time to get that application ready for you. Your school site must have at least 50% free and reduced eligible student population. So again, that's automatically calculated in TMAC because it pulls from your school nutrition application packet information. So, and if you're eligible by all of these requirements, you should have a FFVP site application automatically populated for you. And then obviously your school site must participate in the National School Lunch Program, since FFVP is under the umbrella of the National School Lunch Program. All right, so how do we apply? You are applying in the Tennessee Meals Accounting and Claiming System, better known as TMAC. If you just click into application and scroll down to FFVP application packet, that is where you will find the applications. They're not quite open yet. They will open next week, and don't worry, we will send out a listserv blast, and I will send out an email to past FFVP participants that the application is open for you. I want to let you know that there are two parts to the FFVP application. So you have your SFA level application, and then you have your site level application. So to be considered a complete application, you will have to fill out both parts. Typically, I like to look at all of the applications about 2 weeks prior to the closing date. That way I can go ahead and catch some of those that may not have both parts of the application filled out, because it will let you submit one without the other. We're working on it, but I just want you to know that there are two parts to the FFVP application, so the SFA level and the site level. And if you are submitting an FFVP application for multiple sites within your district, but you don't have the principal support and administrative support at one of your sites, then what is the likelihood of you actually being able to operate that program? It's probably not very great. So you must have administrative support in order to operate the program. Please be mindful of that when you are filling out your application, because we just want to ensure that there is administrative support across the board when operating FFVP at your sites. And there is my contact information. I am the state agency FFVP contact. I'm happy to help with anything related to FFVP, but also if you need to reach out to your consultants, they're happy to help as well. All right, so for an FFVP application and award timeline, just so you guys have a heads up as to what's coming down the pipe. Like I said, the applications will open soon. Ideally, they will open by Friday of next week. Again, we will let you know as soon as those are available. We will send out a listserv blast, and again, I will send out an email to those that have operated FFVP in the past. And the deadline to submit those applications in TMAC will be June 30th. So not June 30th, April 30th. So at the end of April, hopefully this gives you enough time in between spring breaks, test prep, all of the things to get all of your site and SFA application pieces in. So you have a couple of months to do that. So again, the deadline to submit applications will be April 30th. And then we will go through all of the applications in the month of May. And we typically will get our USDA allocation in the month of May. So that's how we know how many sites we can actually allocate funds to. Basically, we get our allocation, we save some for the next school year, and then we just go down the list. Highest needs first, obviously, and distribute that money until we run out. So I like to spread the wealth as much as possible. And then once we have our allocation and we've sorted through all of the applications, we will then issue your award letter in late June, early July. That way you can start planning FFVP for the school year. And typically, if there's any adjustments in this timeline, we will let you know, because it really depends on when we get our state allocation notification from the USDA. Most of the time it's in May, but it has been a little bit later some years. But we will keep you informed as soon as we get information. All right. Are there any questions out there? And again, you will get a copy of this PowerPoint presentation, so all the links that were in the presentation, you'll have access to. And Emily, that is a great question. It was asked, what is the average allocation for FFVP? So we have a range, $50 to $75 per enrolled student of a site. So typically I like to do $50 per student, just so I can spread the wealth to more sites. And more students can be impacted by the fresh fruit and vegetable program. Depending on how many sites we have applied and then how much our allocation is for the year, it ranges between $50 and $75 per enrolled student per site. So that is how your FFVP dollars are allocated once we get our state allocation. All right, I'm not seeing, oh, there's one. Yes, and there was another question. If a site is pre-K to second, are you able to start FFEP with just one grade, say just the second graders for a trial year with the program, absolutely. That is quite all right. If you have multiple grades and you just want to try one for your first year, you can do that. Like I said, implementation looks different for every single school district, and you can really tailor it to what suits your needs best. And if you have any like specific questions, I'm happy to answer those and kind of work through what that would look like with you. We have some rock stars across the state, so I can always connect you with programs that have been operating for years. If they want to take you under their wing and help you with your first year of FFEP. All right. Well, I don't see any other questions, so I'll go ahead and pop up the evaluation survey. So if you have any other comments, questions, or concerns, please reach out to me. And if you wouldn't mind to take a moment to fill out our evaluation survey, filling out these surveys not only helps us, but it helps us to help you to help improve our trainings going forward. And Lexi has dropped the link in the chat if you would prefer to go to the website directly versus going through a QR code. Make sure I give enough people time to snap a picture of that QR code because I know it can be tricky sometimes. All right, great. And thank you so much for hopping on today. I know you guys are extremely busy with staff out because of flu, kiddos out because of sickness. It's going around this time of year. So thank you so much for hopping on and learning about Fresh Fruit and Vegetable Program. Again, if you have any questions or anything while you are filling out that application, please reach out. We are happy to help you. Without further ado, I hope you have a great rest of your week and a great weekend.